Hello, 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 and welcome to the Albion Obsessed podcast. We are live tonight to talk to you about Brighton versus Bournemouth, which had a fantastic ending. And we've got to talk about a lot of stuff in between that, which is going to be frustrating to talk about. But we will get to the good part as quickly as we can. Not too quickly because we need to fill an hour. Don't shoot me. Let's see who we've got on the show today. Let's welcome Dagan. How are you doing, mate?
Doing just fine, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Get on with it. Let's not time waste like a certain opponent. And I'll
do a thing. Yeah, I know. But we will talk about stay good. Come on, man.
Joe stuck me right in the eye.
Yellow card.
All the way across the sea.
Yellow card. This is exactly what should happen when somebody fakes a head injury. Ian, how are you, mate?
I'm all good, mate. Yeah, a lot to discuss, as we say. So we'll keep the opinions for that in a little while. But yeah, I'm all good.
Exactly that. Good stuff, mate. And Andrew, we've got the same lineup again for the third podcast in a row. So again, consistent with our lineups. How are you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm all good. Thank you. All good.
Good stuff. Let's talk about the lineup, shall we? Because it was Bart Verbruggen in goal with a back four of Veltman, Van Hecke, Dunk and Kadioglu, a midfield pairing of Gross and Hinchelwood, with Matoma, Gruder and Gomez as the three behind Danny Welbeck. Dagan, Gruder obviously in from the start on the right-hand side. Obviously, we got to see it towards the end of the game, but I'm so itching for the Matoma, Minte wide options again, because as we go into it, I think there was a lot sort of to be had in terms of that sort of tactical side of it. So what did you make of Gruder starting again on the right-hand side?
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence that people continue to suggest that Matoma hasn't looked his best since he's been back, because he doesn't have Minta on the opposite flank. Obviously, I know in his early days with us, he didn't, but he did have Solly March. And I think he suffered without Solly March. When you have those two inverted wingers who can cut inside on their dominant foot, it just makes it harder for defenses to key in on any one of them too heavily. And I think we suffer from that. Gruda, while talented, is not quite as warranting of a double just yet. And I think it makes us more one-dimensional. Minta clearly is still getting back to full fitness. He's incredible, and he looked great when he came on. But, for whatever reason, the club doesn't feel like he's ready for a full 90 just yet. Then that's a player that we will accept as a substitute, and I'm glad he's back. But, yeah, it's frustrating to feel like we haven't seen those two together. I mean, I don't know how many games it is that they've started together, but it isn't many.
No.
So, yeah, I think that is one of the many places where having our best pieces together can be beneficial. I'm sure you're going to ask Ian and Andrew about some other aspects of the lineup, so I'll let them answer those questions.
I sure am. We are live tonight as well, everybody, so do remember to put your comments in as we go along, and we will get back to you as and when we come to those talking points. Hello to you, Tommy. Hello to you, Rhineout97. Evening to you guys. Ian, were there any surprises for you? I think that there was rumours that there was a bit of illness running through the squad, so maybe there was a bit of anxiety before the lineups were announced, but it was pretty strong from the off, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, we had a couple of illnesses, so obviously Dekaipa probably the most noticeable one, really, that's been playing regularly, or at least featuring off the bench. So we kind of weirdly had a random tactic, and don't ask me why. Pascal Gross was trying to run the flank and overlap. Don't ask me, I don't get it. But I think overall, I'm happy that Gruder started in a way. He had a really good game against Man United, so kind of warranted himself. And with Minte not coming back, not being fully fit, it kind of gave him the perfect opportunity. But I echo what Dagan says. I love Gruder with all my worth, if that makes sense. But he's more of a 10, really, isn't he? He likes to cut in and occupy the central players, and he doesn't like to take his man on. So it's a little bit frustrating in that sense that we always start him on the right and don't maybe use someone like a Rooter out on the right if you're going to put them both, because he's more likely to take a man on. Although he's left-footed, he's more likely to take it on his right and do something. But I think overall our lineup was pretty solid, and we kept that partnership of Duncan Van Hecker, which is always helpful when you have sort of synergy between the two goalies and two centre backs and a goalie, not two goalies. But yeah,
two goalies. I wish we could start two goalies.
We might need one. Yeah,
yeah, the Steely and Verbruggen. That would be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Andrew, the midfield pairing there of Gross and Hinshelwood, I was especially excited to see that, given that Hinshelwood took Gross's number. There was no sort of shirt pulling from them, but there was quite a few shirt pulls from Bournemouth that weren't pulled up. But what did you make of that midfield pairing? Me and Dagan were talking yesterday about not quite having the legs, and when you're playing a Pascal Gross, maybe you need a Carlos Baleba sort of type alongside him. But what did you make of that midfield pairing throughout the game?
Yeah, I do think, Pascal's not quite got the legs, is he? But it's, the manager makes a choice. It's what he wants. And overall, I think they did enough in the game to make it work. And that's all you can ask from the team, as they say. Wasn't the best situation, but we made the most of it.
Yeah, I do like Hinshelwood as well. Like I do feel like there are legs to Hinshelwood, so maybe I'm doing them a disservice by saying that there wasn't enough legs in there. But I think, Hinshelwood, when he's in that midfield area, likes to sort of go and attack, and then when you've got then Pascal Gross also trying to pull the strings, that balance can sort of be off a little bit. So obviously we'll talk about the substitutions a bit later and how that improved the game. Tom saying in the chat, as Joe would have known Ferdy, I was definitely not impressed with. Yeah, I felt like Ferdy was getting sort of dribbled past a lot and looked a little bit sluggish in the first half. I feel like he did improve as the game went on. But yeah, as we were watching him down our side in the stadium, it did look like he was getting cooked a little bit. And we even had a conversation at half time as to like what we would do, because obviously Maxim Dekaipa wasn't on the bench. Would we maybe put Hinshelwood at left back and then bring in Baleba? But obviously that didn't happen. So, Tom, what do we know? We're not Fabian Hertzler. Come on now. The game, Dagan, it started relatively okay. I feel like maybe like the first 10 minutes we had the chances, and then it just seemed to drop off. So what do you take from, like, what made it drop off for you? What was that sort of catalyst?
I mean, I've talked about this before. You can't full out press the way we do when we look our best for 90 minutes. You just can't do it. It's not sustainable. And the correlation with those sprints and injuries is high. And I think as people become more aware, and as, clubs rely more on data, that impacts tactics. And I think we're starting to see that. And I think that's part of why we're seeing league-wide, there are more 0-0 games right now this year than we had in the entirety of last season. And already, I think, 6 more than we had in the prior season. So there's something to that, right? Teams aren't risking as much. And I think, people talk about our play being slow or ponderous in possession. That's on the heels of early last year saying it was naive because we were putting too many bodies forward and pulling our line too high, right? And exposing ourselves too much. So it's one or the other, but it's hard to be fluid and dynamic and beautiful and aesthetically pleasing and also not risk a whole lot. And, for all of Bournemouth's possession, we were pretty pragmatic defensively. We gave them a bit of the ball in the first half, but they produced, I think, 0.32 XG from open play in the first half. They produced 0.01 XG from open play in the second half. They had, in total, 2 shots on target, one of which was their penalty. Like, it's hard for me to hear people say like, "Oh, we were so outplayed, we were so outcoached." And it wasn't an exciting match, but it's a 0-0 result in that game would have been a fair result.
There definitely wasn't a sense in the stadium that it was a case of being outplayed or out tacticked, if that's even a word. Ian, before you took to your seat, we had a quick chat, and you said that it felt like one of those games where it was going to be tight either way, and you pointed out Bournemouth's bench, I believe, and that they only had like 5 outfield players, and obviously we're missing a few maybe in their starting 11 as well. But it started to be that, didn't it? That it was playing out to be that just one of those games.
Yeah, exactly that. I was going to say, sort of having that chat, it looked like a proper Dr. Brighton will see you now kind of game, you know. Everything seemed to be in our favour. We had a stronger team. We had a stronger bench. We were at home. We didn't have to travel. All these small things. And yes, it's only Bournemouth, but, you know, we still didn't have to make any travel. Yeah, it was like we had everything, but it just was like written. I was like, we always do this. It's always a kind of game. But I don't think we didn't play brilliantly, but I don't think it was as bad as some will like to make out. We weren't great. Like, there's not hiding from that. We were very sloppy and we couldn't seem to get any sort of rhythm going. I mean, we tried pass all the time.
I wonder why. Why wasn't we get any rhythm going?
No, it's okay. It was like if we kept going down the middle and it wasn't working, then we'd try and go out the wing, but then we wouldn't try and use a bit of like 1-2 sort of passing. We wouldn't try and like have Kadioglu like go pass into like Hinchelwood per se, and then get him fizz it straight away and try and break the line. It was very much like, oh, we're just gonna try all the wing. Oh, there's nothing there. Oh, let's go back. It was never that sort of rhythm going. For a certain person as well, won't help. But yeah, I think we said it already, but when we get Matoma and Minte, we saw a little bit of it last game there against Bournemouth. When we do that, we stretch the defense of any team so much more because they have to focus on both of them, and they both have something such like a very unique thing. Minter's got his really, really rapid pace. So you have to basically stick on him, because if you give him a yard, he'll take the mile, if that makes sense. And then Matoma's dribbling is what you have to keep an eye on. So when we have them both stretching the play, it's going to really impact defenses.
Yeah.
So it's annoying because like it's always a when, and we know injuries are a part of it, but I think we started really well. Like the first 10 minutes, we looked really good, and we were like, "Oh, we're up for it." And I think we had 2 solid chances. Hinchelwood sort of fizzed one just past the post, and then Garuda sort of took one, and it sort of was parried quite high by Petrovic. And I think if one of them had gone in, maybe we could be looking at a different sort of game, because we'd have had that reassurance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I felt like Bournemouth's game plan from the off was quite obvious.
I think it's quite a pattern. Like maybe it's just me, but I feel like every slightly smaller team, I don't like using that, but like non-Big Six, we say that, their game plan when coming to the Amex is just let's just roll on the floor and see what we can do and frustrate them a bit more. And maybe it's just the games I always get to go to, but it seems that's the case. Like West Ham were really quite sloppy. Bournemouth were by far the worst, but
I guess we take it as maybe a little bit of a compliment, because teams know that we're going to take the game to them, and that to get us out of our rhythm, they need to disrupt it in that way.
100%. I think we've started to be more of a feared side. You know, especially when I was growing up, it was like, well, why do you support Brighton? Like, why Brighton? Sport, aren't they? Whereas then now, if you say, oh, I'm a Brighton fan, they go, oh, they're actually a solid team. And it's that sort of like, yeah, we are a good team. We could have told you that. Like, on our day, we can play really, really well. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing how now when Minte's back and Mitoma's back, if we can keep them fit and sustainable, whether that's going to impact other players around them.
Yeah, exactly that. It is about that impact of the other players around you. It does give them a lift, and obviously we'll come on to the substitutions a little bit later. Something that really annoyed me yesterday, and I don't know if it was because of having Gruder on the other side, but Matoma was so narrow, and I don't know if it was a tactical decision by Hertzler to get him away from Jimenez, and we'll talk about that battle as well in a little while. But it was really frustrating me, and it's exactly what you said, Ian. I just kept screaming, "We need to stretch them," and they were so compact, and they knew how to deal with us, and they did exactly that. We'll talk about the penalty, Andrew. You got into the stadium a little bit late, but you did see the penalty decision. And as you were walking down to your seat, I could see you shaking your head, and you turned to me and you're like, "Not a penalty, not a penalty." So I can't remember how it happened. Tavernier breaks down the right hand side, bursts into the box, and the ball goes across to whoever it was that got tackled. Tackled. or is throwing themselves on the floor before Bart Verbruggen can make any kind of contact. The thing that's really, really annoyed me about this is that the stadium announcement, Paul Tierney stands there and says the Brighton goalkeeper makes firm contact. Firm.
Right,
I've seen
okay.
every replay possible, and not one replay tells me that there is firm contact. Glancing contact, maybe. Firm, no. And if you want to be consistent, and if you want to be communicating to the fans, don't stand there and lie to us. And the replay came on the big screen, I believe, and the players went absolutely nuts when they saw it. I think because of that word being used, firm contact, everyone with working eyes can see that there is glancing contact, which does not in any way give him the right to chuck himself onto the ground like he did, which he was doing before the glancing contact was made anyway. So
I was chatting to a lad at football yesterday who was actually a Bournemouth fan, and
boo.
he spoke about it, and he said it's not a penalty. He was like, your keeper's done everything right there. He's gone for the ball, and as you get told when you're goalkeeping, when you like go for like a rush, you sort of sandwich yourself, if that makes sense, like that, so that you protect the ball. He was doing that, and like Bart was already down, and was it whatever his name is, I can't think, Adley, I think it might have been. Literally hit into Bart. I was like, you're running into him. You're not getting the ball. You are wanting the penalty.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't get where Paul Tierney's seen it. And as you say, there's no firm contact. He went down like he got sniped.
The most annoying part for me was in the stadium at the time of the decision, the on-field decision, I will say, the on-field decision. I was up and I was applauding the referee. And I said to the guy in front of me, this is weird. I'm applauding a referee. And so I should be, because that is the correct decision.
Yeah.
I quickly took it back, Andrew.
Yeah. I think the thing is, I've watched this probably like many other people. I've watched this time and time again. Now, Verbruggen is going down in the way he should be going down, because he's coming out, he's trying to protect his goal, and he's going for the ball. He's not interested in the player. The ball is coming towards him. He's gone out. He's going for that ball. The ball then goes past him. He doesn't actually touch the player. It's only the sheer fact he's got a trailing leg that's up in the air. That's they've come together. It's not even like Verbruggen's even gone in for a tackle. He's gone for the ball. The ball has then disappeared the other side of him. He's got a trailing leg up, and the player has made contact with that trailing leg and gone down as if he's just had a major tackle done to him.
Yeah.
And then kind of skids across the surface, and then the ball itself is running away from him, so he would never have got the ball anyway. And then he goes to give him a yellow card for simulation, for making such a meal out of it. And then why on earth is VAR getting involved with that? Because at the end of the day, VAR doesn't have to.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, because like I was saying to the people behind me in the north, I was like, we need to have a referee. It's like, okay, fair enough, VAR is there for that reason, is to double check these incidents. I get it. I'm not a complete an utter idiot. I get it. It was one of them balls that you might need to have a bit more of a look at to double check. Fully get it. No complaints from me there. But then when VAR go have another look at it, we need to have referees that don't when you see that and then they do that, whatever's happening on the pitch, the decision's being completely reversed. We need to see referees do it more consistently, where they go, no, I'm sticking by my decision. I can see it in person. I can understand that it's not. You can slow it down. Do you know what I mean? You can make it look as bad as you want, but it doesn't mean it is. You have to look at it in real time.
And it's the fact as well that we're using potatoes as cameras for VAR. The footage is so pixelated, it's unbelievable. And in a world where we've got 4K, 8K, 16K, goodness me, how many
24
cameras?
Magic. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, we're the best league in the world, apparently. Dagan, how can we be officiated like this if we're the best league in the world?
Joe. I know people tell me not to assume conspiracy or malfeasance where incompetence is probably the answer. It's too much a part of the show, and it drives too much conversation in a world where money is to be made by clicks and controversy and TV time and argument. And part of me just has come to the belief that it's got to be part of the show. It's just got to be a part of the banter. And I know you've heard me say it. And people will say, well, this wasn't between Brighton and a Big Six team, so how could this be Big Six bias? And it's like, well, all things being equal, the thing that benefits the big clubs in matchups between Brighton and Bournemouth or Brighton and Fulham are draws or whichever team is lower in the table winning. And it's just so interesting to me that we end up in these conversations when we play teams that are below us in the table. Like, yes, there was the big pronounced example of Spurs and the calamitous decision, but that was later in the season. But early in the season, it seems like the results that are most engineered, and often it's VAR doing the engineering these days, not often the official on the field. And I think that gives it a certain degree of cover, right? Because then there's apparent discord between the parties, right? Where, oh no, but if they were rigging it, they would just rig it. Well, like, yeah, but if you have that cover, you can make whatever call, draw attention to the play. Reality is, like, if he doesn't call simulation there, I'm wondering, like, is the VAR review as serious? Or are they scrutinizing whether it was simulation or not? And it's either a simulation or a pen. Would there ever been a scenario where he would have retracted the card? He would have done this and said, no card, but also no penalty? Or was it going to be one or the other automatically? Which doesn't seem like it would be required, right? Like, you could not have simulated, but it also not be a penalty. And Andrew, I think you're exactly right about Bart's coming out. If Bart's contact while attempting to play the ball and not getting the ball had happened before it was kicked or as it was kicked, then I think it's a pen, right? He's got to hit the ball there. The issue is that, yes, he missed the ball, but the ball was kicked and the player is already going down. He wasn't attempting to leap over him. He was attempting to, spread eagle, fly through the air because he knew that was a heavy touch and he had no chance to get to it. And the only thing he could do was dive. And so he created the contact. Like, there were scenarios where that could have been a penalty because Bart despite doing everything right, if he just hadn't gotten the ball and had gotten the player at a different moment, I think you can make a case for a penalty. But as it was, I just don't think you can make a case for a penalty. And again, I'm not trying to be the conspiracy theorist, but I do think when in doubt, there is a script of let's try to engineer this league in ways that benefit some teams and not other teams. And that's just my cynical belief about money and how money works, and knowing that the big clubs make the league more money, and there's a vested interest in those things happening however they happen. And it doesn't mean that they're going to engineer every game between us and the Big Six for the Big Six to win, because that is a little more obvious. But these results, and it just always seems to be these results. I know I need to chart all this stuff and write it down so that I could give a more evidentiary full, sample, but it just, I feel like I've had this refrain year after year after year now, where it happens in these matches where you just see an inexplicable call, like a truly inexplicable call, where fans of the other club are like, as Ian's saying, like, yeah, that's pretty bad, right? Like, that's what makes me wonder. It's like, how does that always happen? And it isn't just us. I will say that too. It's not just us. It happens to other clubs of a similar status. I would argue it was happening to Bournemouth a few weeks ago when they were in fifth. Be interested to get a Bournemouth fan to say, hey, can you tell us some of the calls that went against you while you were surging that brought you back to the table? I do want to come back to Bournemouth's form when we get a chance.
We will. We certainly will. We'll just have a... Sorry, go on, Andrew.
Well, I heard something today in regards to this referee. Now, he hasn't refereed in the Premier League for some time. He's been refereeing in the Championship and League One, the odd game in League Two. He hasn't refereed in the Premier League for a good period of time. And it just so happens he gets this game between us and Bournemouth. And it's almost like he's not used to using, because obviously they don't use VAR. So he's obviously, it's... I just feel that our defence was shocking enough as it was at that moment in time, because in theory that would never have happened if our defence had actually been a lot better. It was. I just feel that we could have done a lot better in defence, but there again, Verbruggen didn't do anything wrong, and I would say the player has kicked the ball away from Verbruggen, because you can see him literally going for that ball. He's kicked the ball away from him, and then he's got his leg up because he's gone down, and he's literally gone against his boot and just flattened himself to the ground. And the ball's already run away by then. And it's just, referees need to really, really think about their on-field decisions without having VAR intervention for that, for that situation. Okay, advise him, but don't, there is no need for that.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's exactly what it should be there for. At the end of the day, it's an assistant referee, video assistant ref.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it's holding so much power in turning these decisions. As you say, Ian, every single time the referee does that and then goes to the screen, it's going to be overturned. Whatever the decision is, it's going to be overturned. And we shouldn't be in that mindset. We should be thinking, okay, they're going to go and have a look and the outcome will be what it will be. It shouldn't be, right, that's it. Because that tells me that it's just consistently happening, and we've now just come to expect that. And that's not what VAR should be. It's an absolute joke. Let's see who's in the chat. I've neglected it a little bit. My dad's actually in the chat. Hello, Dad. He's in rainy Belfast at the moment. The worst cheating, time wasting I've ever seen. If that was my team, I would be embarrassed. Not a penalty in a million years, he says. James is saying the contact for the so-called foul in the box came when he was halfway through his dive, never a penalty, very much like what we've been saying. Reinhardt is saying, in the 51 years of watching the Albion, I don't think I've ever been so angry with the opposition because of constant cheating. I used to respect Bournemouth and the manager, not anymore. Dagan, let's talk about that then. It was an absolute farce. A complete and utter farce. You're faking these head injuries. It's disgraceful. because head injuries are so important, and I'm all for the concussion protocols. I'm all for us stopping games for as long as we possibly need to, so that somebody with a genuine head injury can get the treatment that they absolutely need. This is just throwing it all into disrepute, though. No, it's ridiculous.
It
What's
it
your
is
take on
it is disgraceful, as your dad says in the chat, agreeing. Yeah, it's diabolical. It just takes so much away from the game. Interestingly, I was sitting and watching this game with some folks who are not soccer fans at all, not English soccer fans, didn't even know that it was English soccer on the television. And so that was their introduction to the sport. And they were like, this is awful. And I know the sport has plenty of fans, but like the product, if you're running the Premier League and you're concerned about your product, this is really damaging to the product and its watchability and the enjoyment of fans in the stands, I'm sure. The stopping play, the cramp issue is one we could talk about too. For me, anytime a player goes down with a head injury, or frankly, any like seeming contact injury, it should be reviewable. And that review should happen while play continues, not stopping the game, but while VAR is sitting on its hands doing nothing else, review the incident. If it's deemed that there was minimal or no contact, either they can adjudicate, or if you need to have the ref come over and adjudicate, or if you need a ref specifically for that job, whatever it may be, or whether there's a center, the reality is you couldn't have it at a center that's monitoring all the games because it happens so much that one person couldn't do that job for the whole league at a remote location. But I really do think they need to then, at the next stoppage, that guy's issued a yellow card for simulation. And if a team commits 3 acts of simulation in a game, whether that's diving in the box or head injury or, faking that they were kicked when they weren't kicked or whatever it is, 3 simulations by the same team in a game and it's a penalty for the other team, period. It would eliminate the issue very quickly. I hate giving refs more power. I don't necessarily want to manufacture, chances for them to score goals, but there should be some negative outcome, right? And we could admit that, we have players that probably would be guilty of embellishing on occasion and receive some of those yellow cards. But the extent to which it was done in this game and the degree to which Bournemouth's behavior impacted the game and the anti-football absence of playing that happened in this match, that needs to be addressed league-wide. And there's going to have to be an outcome that has some teeth to it. It can't just be, hey, guys, knock it out. Because, and the reality is whatever rule is constructed has to also be constructed in a way that can't be manipulated. Because if you said, well, anybody who, grabs their face will automatically have to be off the field for X amount of time, for example. Well, then players are going to be like, scratching guys and doing things to make them have to go off the field, so that they have so that rule is negatively impacting those guys, even when there is a legitimate reason. It's very tricky, but I think something that is using review could actually work here as long as it doesn't slow down the game anymore. Because that would not help. Sorry, that was a filibuster, long answer.
No, I fully agree with you, Dagan. James in the chat is saying something needs to be done about feigning head injuries. In my opinion, the only way to prevent this is to say anytime someone goes down with a head injury, it's 3 minutes off the pitch. My dad is saying that if you have a head injury, surely you need to go off for an independent HIA assessment, which I thought was a protocol. Is it not?
But I think it's the issue is the way it's interpreted is anytime someone grabs any part of their head, but it could be like they got poked in the eye. Well, that's not a head injury. It's a head injury, but not a head injury. And so I think there needs to be some discernment around that.
True.
And whether that's the VAR is like, this is a concussion protocol injury, stop the game, or this is not a concussion protocol injury, don't stop the game. But like if you're going to institute something like that, because, guys get elbowed in the mouth. Well, that's not a concussion issue. That guy shouldn't be penalized and have to leave the game for 3 minutes if he just was elbowed in the mouth and genuinely is like, bleeding from the mouth, but you got to get a concussion check, even though you weren't hit in the head. Like,
I don't know if you guys watched the AFCON final. I think it was the AFCON final. But there was a clash of heads from a corner. and instantly the guy's head, it looked like it popped because there was just suddenly blood like just rushing down his face. Like, that is a head injury extent of what they should be rolling around and crying for. I went on to BBC Sussex after the game to speak to Warren and Robin, and I claimed it was anti-football, and then the question got then thrown back to Warren Aspinall, and he went as strong, Ian, to say that it was cheating from Bournemouth. Would you like for me? Sometimes in the stadium, I feel like my frustrations are getting the better of me, and I'm sort of overreacting or taking it that one step that too far that what it isn't. But when someone who's watched as much football as Warren Aspinall says, "No, that was straight up cheating," it validates our feelings in the stands, doesn't it?
100%. And I'm similar to you. Sometimes you can let the emotions, when you're in the stadium, sometimes the atmosphere and the emotions can get the better of you. And that's part of the football culture. You know what I mean? That's what we love about the game, if that makes sense. But it was absolutely ridiculous. And the chat's been saying it. It's the worst level of cheating I think I've seen in the Premier League match. They were absolutely diabolical. And whether that's down to the tactic of the manager, we don't know. Right? We don't know if that was part of their game plan of go down, blah, blah, or if that's the players. Regardless, it's absolutely cynical and it's completely unacceptable as well. It's to the point where I think at one point Alex Scott went down. The ball went out. Alex Scott went down, held his eye, was lying like he was about to be put in a coffin. And then Veltman tries to like drag him off the pitch and say, well, either get on the pitch or get off the pitch. But if you're going to lie like that, just... And then it wasn't until that happened and then Alex Scott rolls around like a fish out of water that then Paul Tierney comes over and starts fixing it. And it's like, what more do you need to see? Like, it's ridiculous. It was happening. We were on the attack and one of Bournemouth's defenders would sit down and act injured and Paul Tierney would stop the game. Don't stop the game. You can just go, like, you can signal and say, yes, okay, I've seen it. Wait for this bit of play to finish, and then I will come and check on you. A ref's job is to control the game. And ironically speaking, that's the last thing that he was worried about, was controlling the game. He was too concerned about what was coming on the pitch in the terms of the fake head injuries and this, that, and the other. And your dad's spot on. The best way we need to do head injuries is the HIA assessment, which they do in rugby. You can stop them quickly, come off. We can do a concussion sub. It's fine. Like you can put someone on for 5 minutes or whatever. And if needs be, they come off. That person stays on. It's done. We're not wasting any more time. I also heard people saying a good solution was go down once, fine. If you go down twice, you have the option. You either have to be subbed off or you'll be a yellow card given to you for simulation. Because if it's that bad, don't play on. It's as simple as that.
Which is the thing with the not the concussions, the cramp, Dagan. The point about the cramp thing, exactly what we were saying in the stands at the time. If you're that hurt and if you're cramping up that much, you're not fit to play the game.
No.
Get on.
And like we'll open set again. I was playing football last night. Me and this lad went for the same ball, and we literally just shin on shin. Neither of us are in the wrong. It's just a contact sport, right? And I literally went, "Are you okay, mate?" And he was like, "Yeah, fine." He went, "My shin's a bit sore, but like, it is what it is." And I was like,
but basically, Ian and this bloke are stronger than Premier League footballers. Is what Ian's trying to say.
It's like, we're not letting this ego get the better of us. We're going to go down. It's just like you don't need to go down. If your cramps are that bad, go off. Anyone who's had proper cramp understands when it's really painful, there's nothing you want to do.
Like Lewis Dunk after João Pedro's goal against Man United that time. That was some cramp that I found very funny to see. Andrew, what's your take on it, mate? That the head injury side of things, and obviously Warren going as strong as saying it was cheating. I know that you turned around to me a few times and rolled your eyes. So yeah, frustrating, wasn't it?
There was so much going on in that game. At points, I was saying to myself, Bournemouth, why are you playing this game? Because they were going down so easily. They were, and it's just the referee everything was on their side because the referee was just pulling up at every point. As soon as they go down, he's stopping the game. And that one moment when Van Heck gets a nasty knock on his head, referee ain't interested, and it just goes to show that.
And JP's been tarred with the same brush as cheating.
Yeah,
but I from where we are in the North Stand, Andrew, I don't know about you, but I heard the contact on JP's face.
As soon as that happened, I just couldn't believe that what I was witnessing. And you've got Bournemouth players trying to get him up off the floor as if he's doing it deliberately. You can see and you can hear.
Where I am on the North Stand was like right by the blue sort of, what do you call it, like the plastic bit, if that makes sense. You know what I'm talking about? Like beside the net, there's like a bit of blue.
Like the holding up the net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like roughly where my view is. So I've seen JP's thing perfectly, and I was like, that is worse than it's not the same thing, but in terms of contact, that was worse than the penalty. And yet you gave that as a penalty, but not. It was like, what? But
yeah,
it was just
not an excuse, but perhaps a reason. Bournemouth had lost the lead in 4 consecutive games coming into this one. They still managed to win one of those 4. Also, those games were 2-2, 2-3, 3-2 win, and 3-3 draw that they ended up losing on penalties. So they've been in some shootouts. So I think like they had a reason to come into this game a little more cynical and pragmatic. And especially once they got a lead, the urgency to not give one up again was probably paramount for them. The irony and perhaps karma, as Doom said in the chat, that they give up, the most redonkulous goal you'll ever see at the end of the game is probably fitting and poetic justice. I do want to say further on this discussion, though, it is the job of the officials to manage the game, but it really is the job of the officials to enforce the laws of the game. And it's the player's job to try to win the game. And so if the laws of the game are such that they allow for players to manipulate the game through their actions, players and managers will always do it because their first priority is not to play the game honorably as much as we may want them to, but it's to play the game to win because that is what they get hired and fired and paid to do, right? So we've got to fix, and the Premier League has to fix, the laws of the game to disallow this conduct from happening, and then the officials can handle it, and the players themselves will be called upon, and the managers will be called upon to handle it. But until the laws are fixed, and until it's stated that this is a problem in the game, and someone at the higher up echelon of the game acknowledges this is a real problem, right? In the same way that it took time for concussions to be acknowledged as a problem, right? Now it's the faking of concussions that's become the problem. Someone at a higher level has to say, we've got to fix this. Time wasting is starting to be addressed. We've seen some real gains in that area. There's still gains to be made. But I just think more people have to be in these conversations like we are, and hopefully action is taken on the behalf of fans and people who are interested in watching the sport actually be played and not watch guys laying on the ground, grabbing their faces, pretending.
I think the goalies need to be, that they're protected too much. Like, especially when it goes out for a goal kick or something, they can take like nearly a minute to kick the ball. And it's ridiculous. It needs to be, you have, like, there needs to be a certain rule, like from the second you've actually retrieved the ball, per se, like obviously if it's there's not one near, that's fine. From the second that you touch the ball, like you retrieve it in any way, you have like 15-20 seconds for the ball to be played. Otherwise,
none of this dropping, like accidentally dropping it or kicking it too far.
And it's fine. Like a lot of refs are like aware of it. Like near the end of the game, they'll say like, "Come on, hurry up!" But it's not happening near the start of the game. And that's where we've seen it several times, not just this Bournemouth game. And a game that came into my head was when we played Roma in the round of 16 a few years ago. And Roma's goalkeeper kept doing it. Took way too long to keep. And we're saying, well, what's going on? Why is he taking so long? I have a friend that's a referee, not of the Premier League standard. You know, I'm not that flex like, but and I said, is it possible to be like booked for time wasting twice, or is there some sort of like rule in that? And he said no. He said you're more than happy. Unlikely a ref will do it because they haven't got the cojones, shall we say?
Yeah.
But he said it's more than acceptable. Like you can give them a very early one and say that's their warning, because it might restrict them doing it the second time. But if you don't do it until the very end, they're not really being punished, are they? Because they'll take a silly yellow card at the end of the game. Everyone will. But goalies won't want to do anything silly if they've already got a yellow card, like, let's say, 40 minutes into the game when they've been time wasting. So then will interact the actual play as well.
What would stop the fourth official, for example, who stands on the side, from being a timekeeper for all events that could be timed? Throw-ins, goal kicks, like
that's just logic, Dagan.
They all have a mic. They all chat to each other, so they've got no excuse to be like, "Yeah, that's a." Unless they're having a chat about what they had for dinner last night, in which case no one gives a monkeys. I mean, they've got plenty of time.
I'll look it up. Like, do you guys know, like, what are the jobs of the fourth official? I know they administer subs. What else do they do?
Subs, they like liaise with like the managers. If they're getting a bit fiery, I think the referee would, like, for example, Fabian Hertzler got a yellow card, didn't he? So he's probably received word from the fourth official, possibly. But obviously they've probably then told the referee, oh, Fabian and his coaching staff are doing this. That's why he'll trot over, waste even more time to show them the yellow card, and then jog back. We're in no hurry. I found myself Monday night, just constantly saying, yes, ref, make this all about you, mate. And actually, my whole row started singing All About You by McFly, because we were getting that peed off with it. So I don't know. Yeah, it was very frustrating, and
we keep the administering of subs. I found in the Bournemouth game really weird. Like, we had a corner, and it took like 5 minutes for us to be able to. Well, felt like 5 minutes for us to take it, because they allowed a sub after some treatment, and then they let another sub on, but the ref didn't give the go ahead for that sub. So they made like 2 subs in that time we were trying to take a corner, and we're like, hello. Like,
because the referee again was making it all about him and not about the game.
I'm no ref, but I can tell you that if you're gonna have a player go off like injured, they leave at the nearest exit, and then the sub can come on. But not more often than not, they've made it now that they have to do that sort of let the play happen, and then they can come on. Yeah. And isn't there meant to be that 30-second rule as well? If you get treatment, you have to stand at the pitch for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but
I didn't see what that was.
There's meant to be loads of rules that just aren't consistently applied. Obviously, they've introduced this 8-second thing with the goalkeeper receiving the ball, which is obviously being administered in front of our eyes, but obvious because it's a new rule. But eventually that will die out as well. So it's just a whole bunch of incompetency that is just growing to so many fans' frustrations. And we could sit here and talk about it for hours. But I want to talk about happy things because there was a very happy thing that happened towards the end of the game. I felt like, not to gloss over it too much, but I felt like the changes that were made were really positive. I felt like they maybe could have been made a little bit earlier, please, Mr. Fabian Hertzler. But, you know, he knows his squad of players more than we do. But the moment, Andrew, Babis Kostulas, the ball comes in from Olivier Buscagli. It's headed down by JP Van Hecker. A lovely chest up to set himself up for the greatest bicycle kick I've ever seen. What a goal. Talk us through it, mate.
Yeah, it was Matoma started that because he had the ball in the first place, and it's obviously gone out to Buscagli, who's whipped that ball in, hasn't even taken a touch on it. He's whipped that ball in at such pace, and then Van Heck's got on the end of that with a nice little header downwards, and and the goal says it all, really. But when you look back on that, the Sky were analysing it afterwards, and the two pundits on there, Terry Henry and it was someone else. I can't remember who it was.
Was it Carragher?
Might have been Carragher, yeah. They were analysing how that goal was made by that one person with the contributions of all the other team, with everybody else involved, the way he's kind of got hold of it, taking it in the air, total concentration. And it's just, and then when you look at it from various angles, you can see how clever, how difficult it is to get it on target at speed and total concentration. And when you've got 3 or 4 defenders around you, you've got nowhere to go, you can't turn, what are you going to do? Instant reaction, let's just pop it over my shoulder and see where it goes. And it just, keeper just stands there and watches it because he thinks it's going wide, and it just goes into that top corner, and it was beautiful.
There was nothing really the keeper could have done about it. He sort of stood there afterwards and just went,
absolutely beautiful.
With a goalless special as that. It seems, Dagan, that it's something that BABIS has tried multiple times and succeeded in doing on the training pitch, because Dunkey wasn't surprised by his attempt of that. A special moment for someone who looks to be a very special player in the making, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the kid exudes a ton of confidence. And he's already produced some really, really exciting moments. Nearly had a breakout goal a few matches ago, as I recall, down the right flank that was disallowed for being just a fingernail offside. He is really, really exciting. I know putting the ball in the net is the objective. We haven't seen him look like the complete and total player for a long period of time in the same match. He has brilliant moments, and that's all it takes to win a match, as we well know. But I do think he's still getting up to the fitness level to be able to press, to be able to do all the things that we need him to do to be elite. And it's physically demanding. We saw Seema suffer an injury. We don't want BABIS to suffer a similar fate. I know he's a kid. I know people think like, oh, he's not going to get hurt, he's fine. But I think we're managing him smartly. We're giving him plenty of opportunities, and we're going to need him to take those opportunities with Welbeck being the only other really available number 9. I think the jury's out whether BABIS is truly a number 9. He is fairly Welbeck sized, and he's very pacey, but it'll be interesting to see whether over his career we decide he's better in tandem with Seamas or better on his own. I think the jury is still out on that. But no, there's no doubt he's an immense talent and has swagger, right? Like, you just need guys who have a tremendous amount of self-belief, because I think the reality is, how many of our guys would have even attempted that bicycle kick, let alone converted that bicycle kick? And I don't think it's a big number of guys in that moment. In an earlier point in the match that didn't feel like it might be one of our last chances, sure. But at that moment, like, if you take that and you whiff and you fall on your backside, right? Like, everyone's furious. It's a risk. And so I think the confidence in yourself, the belief in yourself to chest that and then to go right into the motion, like, hats off to BABIS. What a moment for him. A huge future. Hopefully a lot of that future is in blue and white.
Yes, I hope so. I think he's got that fine balance of swagger, as you say, which you need as a young, exciting talent coming through. But also he's quite balanced in how professional he's been this year. He's bided his time. He hasn't expected the price tag to have been a guarantee for a starting place. He stayed professional. Obviously, start, he was a little bit sort of hampered by injury. But now, because we've given him that time, because we offer such a nurturing place for young talent to grow if they've got the right attitude, we're seeing the results of that. And I think it's a massive credit to our club for offering that environment, which I think gets sort of not dumbed down, but like people get frustrated with it when we see talents like Barco leaving or Enciso, but they haven't got that balance of the swagger and the want to succeed with the team.
Yeah, the humility too, I think,
Yeah.
right? That's what you're alluding to. And that, I think that's a really well-made point. That balance, I think, is important and integral to being successful in this organization. Because it becomes too me. You know, you lose your teammates, you lose, others in the organization. Yeah. The folks who tell you the one person is the answer and they've got all the answers are usually leading you astray. And if that's your teammate, they're probably not a great teammate. And so no, I think that's a well-made point about the balance of humility and swagger, because it's not just one thing. And it harkens back to João Pedro and the friction with John Paul Van Hecke, and João Pedro looking backwards saying, at Brighton I was the guy, right? I was the guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's about so much more than that.
But if you are the guy, you don't have to tell everyone you're the guy. That's the thing. Everybody knows you're the guy without you having to tell people.
An alpha will never know that they're an alpha.
Danny Welbeck is that guy. And that's why he's got the name.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Ian. Yeah. There we have that guy, and that is Danny Wells. I just noticed a comment from Curtis which had me laughing inside. I hope the ref stands on a weirdly shaped piece of Lego. That is the pettiness I've come to expect from you, Curtis, friend, and I admire it so much. So thank you. My dad says, guys, sorry, I'm off to watch The Traitors.
How dare you? You're being the traitor now, David.
It's on iPlayer. You can click.
You're watching yourself, traitor.
Whatever.
Put that cloak on.
Banish. It's fine. I'll get him back this weekend. Yeah, crazy end to the game. It felt like after we scored that early on in added on time that we might, rally and hopefully get all 3 points, but it wasn't to be. And there was even more time wasting from Bournemouth. So it was clear that they just wanted the point from the off. It is what it is.
I think that overall, I think we didn't do enough as a team, even though we started off incredibly well. We allowed Bournemouth to come back into the game. They then obviously did what they were doing, got the goal, but then it took us an incredibly long time to kind of get anything out of it. And it's just they put 8 minutes up on the board, as we all know. And I think that's then kicking us into in kind of, hang on, we've got 8 minutes here, we need to do something. And that's where that's come from. It's got us out of trouble.
Yeah, I understand the frustration of us not getting there any quicker than what we did, but I will give us credit. I think from maybe the moment Baleba, Ruta and Minter came on, I thought we were much better, much more positive, and it was clear that we were trying to get that. I think you can look at it both ways, and I understand your viewpoint on it, Andrew. But for me, I see it as a positive, is that we've just not given up the ghost, and we've just kept going and trying to get that equaliser, and it's come off in the end with something special when you earn your own luck, I think. So, and we definitely earned that luck to get at least a point out of it. So, but I'm fully with you on the fact that, there were opportunities in that game for us to have done more.
I think to finish the game in the way we finished it, and was a classic way of doing it, because there wasn't really much time to respond on either side, and the game was just one of those games that it wasn't the best, and it wasn't, it was just a classic finish, and we we could say that we were robbed of all 3 points, but Bournemouth came and gave us a game, and it was a fair result in the end because both teams didn't really give enough overall.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from on that one. So I guess, guys, that just leaves us to think about our player of the match. Dagan, I know you like to do your podium, so I'll come to you last. Ian, I'll start with you, my friend.
Okay. There's definitely one person I'm not going to give it to, and that's Paul Tierney. As much as he might want the accolade himself, it's not going to him.
It's all about you. Sorry, no.
Oh dear. So viewers just gone down. I'm joking. No, I think I'm gonna give it to JP. I think he was an absolute warrior last against Bournemouth. I think okay, there was a goal, but I think he really gave a performance. He was strong, astute. He carried the ball fantastically through the midfield at times, especially in the second half. I think, in a way, he's kind of a bit unlucky to not get himself a goal because he sort of hit the post and then he got hit in the head as well, didn't he? So, I think he deserves it. So, JP, you've got my flowers.
There you go. The player of the match is on the way to you, Jan-Paul Van Hecker. I'm sure it will go lovely on your mantelpiece, and Ian will order you a trophy. Andrew, who would you pick for your player of the match?
That's a tough one. Because none of them are outstanding.
And no, you can't pick Gully. Gully didn't play.
Well, I could pick Gully, but it wasn't. He didn't really play a part. But apart from entertaining the crowd, I'm going to go for Boscali for whipping the ball in and for making that chance.
There you go. An 89th minute introduction.
That's a very underrated ball. Like, a lot of people talking about
it
the
is,
goal,
100%.
It
was
into
dangerous.
him was unreal.
Yeah, I agree. I like that shout, Andrew. I'll give you that one. Dagan, go on then. Give us your podium, please.
All right, my podium. On the podium, because I thought the game changed when he entered it, Carlos Baleba gave us a Baleba-like performance. And I think we've questioned him all year. I think it's worthy of mentioning that he looked himself. And I was hoping that just getting the games under his belt and playing like himself in AFCON might bring him back to his old self. And maybe that's going to be the gift of him going away for a little while, is just to have a nice reset and enjoy the game for the sake of the game for a while. JP would be my choice for that second spot. And I've got to give man of the match to Kostoulis. It takes those kinds of magical moments to win matches, to draw matches. And, if not for his audacity and execution, we don't have any points from this game. Although again, Tierney, the anti-man of the match, because certainly I think you can make a case we have all three, if not for his less than fine work. What do you say, Joe?
I like that anti-man of the match question, Dagan. I do. I'm going to call it villain of the match. Now I've got two villains of the match. One match. There was only one match, Joe.
It felt like that's a lot longer.
I know. My first villain of the match is Alex Scott. I thought he was despicable. And I don't know if Tommy's still watching, but Tommy sits in front of me in the Amex. And before the game, he was like, "Oh, I would love Alex Scott at the Amex. Such a wonderful player. I've watched him from Bristol. He's come to the Premier League. He's done so well, got an England call-up." And then halfway through the game, he's like, "Fuck Alex Scott." Absolute arsehole. So I really enjoyed that. And my other villain of the match, before I come to my player of the match, is the Bournemouth right back, Jimenez.
Oh, he screamed in Matoma's face, didn't he?
In Matoma's face.
Really screamed at him.
After conceding a corner, by the way. I've never seen someone celebrate conceding a corner. And Matoma's reaction afterwards was just iconic. You can see the moment in that slow-mo that Jimenez realizes
The steam coming out of this.
He is so not asked right now. And bearing in mind, Matoma's scored like 5 goals in the last 6 games against Bournemouth. So who's had the last laugh, really? Come on now, Bournemouth.
Matoma's work there was priceless, man. It was like you're a child. Get away from me. Like I have no time for you. It was just the utter disdain was just remarkable.
It felt like it was a Veltman like Kabuckle, you know, like Veltman's the dark arts master for us. It's almost like he's taught everyone in the squad. If they get an Aggie, just give them a bit back. Just tell them.
I would love to see.
He's probably getting that from Veltman, and he knows Veltman would be in that spot, right?
We need to see in the Brighton Unlocked on YouTube. We just need to see like a Veltman like class,
like a lesson. Like they need to go to like the Harry Potter studios or something and go. Oh, that would be hilarious. But my player of the match, I think I've got to agree with Ian. Jan-Paul Van Hecke. You summed it up perfectly, Ian. Absolute warrior. I felt like going forwards, he was driving the team on. And he just seems at the moment to be that heartbeat of everything good that we're doing. And he continued that against Bournemouth. So there you go. He wins the player of the match from Albion Obsessed, which I'm sure he'll be so proud of, because I do know he's a long-time listener of the Albion Obsessed podcast. I wish. But yeah, I mean, it was an eventful game in the end. Lots of things to talk about. I hope we've not missed much, but there was a lot of frustration towards the referee. Go on, Ian.
No, I was going to say, just touching. I know we were talking about Believer and his like what seemed like a really good resurgence or whatever. It kind of backs up on like, Fabian doesn't always tell us everything, which is fine if that's part of his contract, sort of thing. That don't disclose private matters and stuff. The Cameroonian manager did say that he was going through a lot of personal stuff at the sort of start of the season, including like back home and stuff like that. So whether that's had an impact, and that he didn't refer to the United talk. It was like family, personal stuff. So whether that sort of had an impact and sort of getting that break with Cameroon and just enjoying football again. In like in a competitive way, yes, but like everyone watches, like anyone who watches AFCON or even the World Cup when the African teams compete, they're always dancing like during warm up or like whatever. They're a great sort of continent for that. So I hope genuinely that he's okay now, and that whatever's going on is sort of he's spoken to someone and whatever and had that advice. And someone like Steele, obviously he's had a lot of scrutiny. It's what he came down to Brighton for, was he had a lot of crap given to him up that way. And he said coming down to Brighton was like a fresh start for him. So I'm hoping that he can have someone like Steele to go to and sort of say like, how do I play well with like the expectation of me? But and you've got to remember he's so young. We've got yes, he's talked about a lot, but he's such a young lad. He's what, 21 or something like that. So for a 21, 22-year-old to be going through stuff like that and to be put on a pedestal of such a high caliber, yes, it's his job, but we do also have to say he's a 21 or 22-year-old lad who's he's going through some stuff. We need to back him in more of in a homely way, rather than you can critique him, fine, but don't make anything personal and say it wasn't his greatest game.
Yeah, really well made. I think so many people forget that the people we watch on that pitch are human beings at the end of the day, and they do have things going on in their lives. Yes, they get a lot of money, but that does not take away from the fact that something could be going on in your personal life. It does not protect you from having.
It's the same with the age as well, though. It's like a lot of even our senior players are in their 30s. They're not like a 90-year-old who's seen everything, if that makes sense.
I think we act like 35-year-olds are like cripples, don't we, in football?
No, exactly. That's what I mean.
When actually, like, I'm 5 years away from that. Like, I hope I'm not a cripple in 5 years.
I feel like
Andrew, you might be able to tell us. But Andrew still plays football and he doesn't complain. So,
Yeah, Baleba
But,
just
yeah.
turned.
He's not got his bus
22.
pass yet, April Andrew, so you're all right.
22.
Just turned 22 January 3rd.
There you go.
Good believer.
Brand new 22.
So he's literally my age then. So
There you go.
yeah, I know, useful. I don't look it. I know.
So if you want to abuse someone, abuse Ian. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah,
Don't
abuse
abuse anyone. Don't abuse anyone. But no, well point made.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well point made. Well made point.
All of the
He's
above.
not a human being. He's a muppet. Yeah.
We do actually have a we have another big game at the weekend. We have Fulham away.
We didn't talk about that, Andrew.
You mean head injury, time wasting Fulham? Oh, that's going to be so fun, Andrew. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes.
I can't wait for Alex Iwobi to act like he's torn his ACL and then suddenly score a worldie from about 50 yards out.
It will be very interesting. So
Harry Wilson is going to lose his head and then score.
Yeah, exactly that. Considering you brought it up then, Andrew, give us a score prediction, please.
It's going to be a tough game because we're always a bit. I'd like to see us actually come away from the Cottage winners, and I'd like to see Baleba and Mitoma actually get a goal each up there, because that'd be quite nice.
That would be nice.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I might go for 2-0 up there, but I might be pushing my luck. But
in the Premier League at Craven Cottage, it hasn't proved to be that simple. But hopefully, the tides
time
will
to change.
Yeah, exactly. Ian, what are you feeling for this one, mate?
Ooh, sorry, is Paul Tierney going to be the ref? No, I'm joking. I think it's going to be a very cagey affair, as it always is when we go up to the Cottage. I'm going to say it's 2-1. I'm going to say it's 2-1 to Brighton.
Goal scorers?
Two of the scorers. I'm gonna throw a curveball, bring back the Championship days, and let Lewis Dunk have one.
Oh, please.
Let's see that, just so he can do that celebration again. And then let's go for Ruta.
Oh, yeah. Georgie
may be able to get one. He's been really tenacious recently, and I'm hoping that if we can have Minte and Matoma start, even if it means Minte or Matoma comes off after 60-65 minutes, I really then think that Georgie, I think I said it a few pods back, but I think we'll really see the best of Georgie as well, because he will just be able to absolutely cut through the defences of balls and have Matoma and Minte just causing trouble, and Welbeck can be there, and it'll be like a little fairy tale.
It'll be a lovely time at the Craven Cottage. Michael's just saying, "Oh my God, just seen you're on." Go back and watch it again, Michael. It's fine. We'll be here for another couple of minutes, so you can pose any questions that you have for us. But yeah, go and watch it once we're off air. James is saying 2-1 Brighton, and would like to know your goal scorers, please, James. Dagan, whilst we wait for James's goal scorers, what's your score?
So Fulham at home this year has only been held scoreless one time. That was a 0-1 to Arsenal. So you would expect they'll score. I do like that, 1-2 Brighton win prediction. I feel like the match will be a draw. I hope that 1-2 prediction is right, but I think a 1-1 draw or a 2-2 draw is probably more likely, unfortunately. But I don't like to say that that's what I think, but it is what I think. And
who's going to score the goal?
That's a fool's errand. And with Bassey back, I'm actually more inclined to say 1-1 than 2-2. Because I think they're a little bit more resolute. I'm going to say Welbeck picks up the goal.
Okay, we'll take it. Reinhardt says 1-1 as well. I'm going to go confident, and I'm going to say 3-1 for the
8-0 Brighton.
Yeah, 8-0 Brighton. Yeah. Pascal Gross with 8.
Happy man, Joe.
Yeah.
Pascal Gross with 7, and Anthony Knockhart with 1 from the stands.
just randomly. Yeah, I feel like Pascal's going to get a goal. I would love him to get off the mark again for us. I think Matoma will score one, and I think Minte will score one as well.
I think Believer scored in the Fulham match last year, if my memory serves me right. I don't know.
Was it last year? Was it the year before? Yeah, he's definitely scored at Craven Cottage.
I know McAllister scored, so midfielders seem to score at Fulham.
Yeah, so there you go. Pascal Gross goal. You've heard it here first, guys. Go on, Dagan.
Fun fact that you may not have heard this week, but at present, there is not a single team in the Premier League on a 2-match Premier League winning streak. No one has won their last 2. And what's maybe even more staggering is there's only one team that lost both of their last 2, and that's Spurs.
Oh. Well, don't worry. There'll be another team soon. They've lost. They're losing their gaffer. They've lost their captain. They're losing their striker.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, parity is the name of the game right now. It's hard to find 3 points, which makes 3 points extra valuable anywhere you can get it. Hope we find it this week. Golly.
Let's do it. Let's get excited for Craven Cottage. Gosh, let's see how it goes. Michael was saying BABIS hat-trick, 6-0 Brighton. Michael,
that's the best prediction so far.
I want what you're taking right now. Thank you very much. But I guess that's just about everything for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's been good to get back on the regular pods, and we've got quite a regular lineup here. So we'll keep trying to churn out this content as much as we possibly can for you guys. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, comment, and everything like that. Share it with your friends if they're Albion fans. Recommend us to everyone you possibly can. And we're on no, we're not on X at the moment. Maybe we might come back to that. But so we're on Blue Sky, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You just search Albion Obsessed and we'll pop up somewhere, and then come and chat to us. I guess all that remains for me to say is a big thank you to Dagan, a big thank you to Ian, a big thank you to Andrew, and a big thank you to everybody for listening to us. Wherever you may be, whenever you may be, we will see you next time. Cheers. Bye.